Hey, what's up, party people? Welcome to an exciting Wednesday edition of SJU. We've got Superman and Batman cartoons. Yay! Yay, new cartoons. We've also
Yay, we
got
did it.
Jason Momoa, apparently wrote Aquaman 2. My man.
hmm hmm
Attack the Block is getting a sequel, maybe. Amazon is going to acquire all the things. And we're going to talk to you, the viewer. It's a fun, free flowing Wednesday, so keep the questions and comments coming, and we will respond to them at the end or throughout. We'll see what we have to say. HBO Max is expanding
Blues.
DC's animated slate. It's already got the old school Batman the animated series and Superman animated series on there, but we're getting some new stuff. I should also introduce Lon and Kim, but you know them, you love them. They've been
Hi,
here before.
everybody.
They'll be here again. But we're getting Batman Caped Crusader, which is a new animated series, executive produced by Bruce Timm of the previous Batman animated series, J.J. Abrams, and Matt Reeves. Straight to series when that kind of talent is involved. This is going to a co-production of HBO Max and Cartoon Network. So this is, it's by all their production companies, Bad Robot, Warner Bros. Animation. Abrams and Reeves said, quote, "The series will be thrilling, cinematic, and evocative of Batman's noir roots while diving deeper into the psychology of these iconic characters." Well, let's take them one at a time. So this is, let's take Batman before we dive into Superman. What do you guys think about a Bruce Timm produced new Batman series? Is this connected to the animated series, or do you want something brand new per se?
I mean, it's exciting news that Bruce Timm is involved again, and with J.J. Abrams and Matt Reeves connected too. I mean, there's the potential here for something really great, and I hope it's not connected to the animated series for that reason. But yeah, I mean, that. I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say after that.
Well, can you bring up the photo of can you bring up the image of Batman again? Because I actually haven't seen that look. Oh, there's some big ears.
He's
Look at
got
that.
big ears.
Yeah, he's got very long. He's got very long ears this way. I mean, my hope is that it's kind of like what they did with the original Batman the animated series, where it's not directly connected to the Burton movies. Like the Joker that Mark Hamill is playing is not the Joker from the 1989 Batman, but it still feels like of that world. Like it took its sort of main look and style and inspiration from the Burton films, and it like worked the Danny Elfman theme in a bit. And so like I'm kind of hoping they do something like that again, where it's like in the world of the movie, but it doesn't need to be like linking back all the time plot wise, because that seems like more than it should have to be burdened with.
Yeah, I mean, what I love about the animated series that I hope they continue is the setting, where it is this sort of timeless, half modernized noir world, where like it is the technology of today, but you could believably order a brandy Alexander at a local speakeasy or something like that. I think that's just
and everybody's got the like fedora and trench coat look instead of looking like modern people.
Yeah, I do like that they use the word noir, because that tells me everything I need to know about the setting. And I think that's to me what really shined about the animated series. But
they've said that about the movie as well. The Reeves movie is sort of evoking that classic, like dark detective noir kind of vibe, as opposed to more,
that's right. And the tie to the movie is interesting because, I mean, not obviously, we don't think that this ties directly to it, but HBO Max has said like, okay, we have the movies, and then everything's going to have this kind of supplementary series on HBO Max, at least with the Suicide Squad and was it Peacemaker?
Yeah.
So this could be, if not a direct spin-off, at least something kind of in that same tone and feel. But it's not the only thing.
It's also interesting.
Oh. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, the one other thing to discuss is they also have a Gotham Police Department live action series in the works for HBO Max. It was going to be the Boardwalk Empire guy, and now they've switched to a different guy who's going to be the showrunner. But so it's like, we don't know if that's going to be like, is Jeffrey Wright going to be Jim Gordon in that, and it directly ties in, or is it just kind of like suggested that it's in the same Gotham? Like, there's a lot of moving pieces to this new Batman world they're setting up.
Yeah. continuity be damned. I don't care. Just do good Batman stuff. I don't need it all to connect.
No, Paul Dano has to voice the Riddler in this.
It's not the only thing we're getting though. We are getting a family-friendly animated series. You can't have Batman without Superman. Called My Adventures with Superman, which follows, quote, the adventures and romance of 20-somethings Clark Kent and Lois Lane, as well as their best friend and throuple partner, Jimmy Olsen, as they learn how to become the hottest investigative reporting team at the Daily Planet. Is that so? I'm looking at this art for the first time too. That's adorable. Look at that.
Yeah, there they are.
Anime-influenced art. That's okay. All right. Well, there you go. Look at that. I think that tells you all you need to know about this show.
Yeah, it really is like, well, yep, that's what that's going to be for sure.
All I really want from more Superman is more Henry Cavill, to be honest. But anything light and fluffy right now is welcomed, and I am all for something that's family friendly, because get the next generation of kids into Superman. And, at the same time, as an adult parent, you can probably find something to enjoy in it. Nobody has a go at Pixar, do they, for creating family-friendly content? So,
no. And, you bring up an interesting just change in the culture over the time, which is like, shouldn't Superman always be for kids? Shouldn't it always be a family-friendly, kids-first type of franchise? I mean, we've been warped by the last, 15 years of Superman stuff, but for the first 60, 70 years, it was for kids.
Both of the classic Superman and Batman animated series, like both the Batman one we've been talking about, they did a Superman one after that. Those were also both family. There was no violent, like he'd throw a batarang at a bad guy, but they were also like most of these shows were usually assumed to be family friendly until the present era, when we make this stuff and it runs the gamut.
Right. But family friendly does not mean. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
Just yesterday, I was interviewing Junkie XL, who composed the music for Justice League and various other things. But he talked about composing for Superman and how I'm paraphrasing, easy that was, because he's such a simplistic and good character. Which obviously, I mean, even in this era, when Zack Snyder's tackling him, so. So yes, he's absolutely, to reiterate what you said, Spencer, family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I also think a good thing you have for Superman that you don't really have for Batman is that he's got a real, like, Bruce Wayne as an alter ego isn't really that exciting, because he doesn't care and he's not really that involved in stuff. That's kind of the whole point of Bruce Wayne. But Clark Kent, you can do the newspaper. He's got a sort of a life you can follow that gives you a format outside of him always having to just be Superman and like punch a robot or something. So I think that it's nice when they use that, like locations like the Daily Planet and like characters like Jimmy Olsen that kind of tie him to the real world.
Well, the title kind of clues it away that it's called My Adventures with Superman, which makes me think the POV character is Lois, right? Like it's probably
or
like her,
Clark,
or Jimmy Olsen,
or Jimmy.
But it could also be like this would presumably be before he's revealed his secret identity to Lois. Because if they're just getting to know each other and they're in their 20s, maybe. So maybe it's that. It's like Clark's pretending that he's following the news about Superman and investigating him.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, seems cute. I don't like it or dislike it, given the title, the art, or kind of the concept. But family friendly doesn't necessarily mean good. This could be like a really boring, crappy children's show. I don't want to give it a pass just because it's for kids. There's plenty of bad kid stuff. Believe me, I'm starting to enter that world as my kid gets older. It is not good out there for most of it. But this guy, who's the talent behind this? Who's actually working on this? I'm not seeing any.
I don't know if I saw. Let me.
Because you have like J.J. Abrams, Matt Reeves.
It is not Batman. That. It's because there's no like. If there was a Superman movie being made right now, I'm sure those would be the people.
Yeah.
Sam Register of Teen Titans Go is executive producing, along with Jake Wyatt, who worked on the most recent Invader Zim movie, and Brendan Clogger, who did Voltron Legendary Defender for Netflix.
Well, there you go. Okay, so now I'm now I have good vibes.
Sam Register is never mind. Sam Register is president of Warner Brothers Animation, so he executive produces everything. So it's going to be more like the Jake Wyatt, Invader Zim, Voltron guys.
I could do an Invader Zim Superman. That'd be a lot of fun. Okay, well, Ryan and anyone in the chat have any hot takes? Anything we missed?
I don't think so. No. Well,
okay.
They're mostly asking AMA questions.
The internet infamously has no thoughts on Batman or Superman. They're just not characters that are front of mind.
Well, it's interesting that the animated stuff has always been the most consistently good and yet the least talked about. Because
certainly for DC.
Yeah. They're just adaptations of the best storylines, and they just kind of do it. Except for the Killing Joke, they just kind of do it straight through, and it's good. It's like a visual,
but honestly,
visual novel.
Like the new DC like animated universe that they were doing, where they were like all of those animated films have been interconnected for like the last 10 or 12. Like it's pretty good. Like they maybe should just lean into that team more and let them kind of start coming up with some of the more world building stuff, because they're actually doing a pretty good job of like it also is like kind of a weird alternate take on the universe. It's not just like a straight up here's how all the DC characters that you know and love.
I mean, yeah, you'd think they could take a lesson from Dave Filoni starting in the animated side and getting the reins to the Mandalorian. They could maybe pull a similar move. But again, I do think that creatively, and I could be wrong because they've made a ton of them, but for the most part, the DC animated stuff is based on comic storylines that have been created by that team.
That's usually how they sell like the big movies, is it'll be an adaptation of like either this really well-known arc or, like this really well-known, graphic novel.
Anywho, we'll keep an eye on that. And you keep an eye on us by subscribing, by liking, by hitting the bell. And for an even more intimate experience, buy Kim's book. It's for sale. It's still there. It's right off camera, about to be... No?
Yeah,
is
there
it?
you go.
Yeah, bring it in.
Why We Heart the Matrix.
Yeah, Why We Heart the Matrix. Available at bookstores, online, and in your hearts everywhere. It's super good. Buy 2 copies. Give one to a friend. Give one to your dad for Father's Day coming up.
I gave one to my dad, and it wasn't even Father's Day.
There you go. Yeah, don't wait. So speaking of writers, noted scribe Jason Momoa has given an interview where he, in typical actor fashion, claimed credit for the story of the movie that's about to come out. He has said when he was on the Drew Barrymore show, so cute.
Sure, yeah.
Quote, "After we ended the first one, I went in with my writing partner. We dreamed up the second one. We went in, pitched the idea. The best thing I can give you is that I love it so much that I participated in the writing of it. And so we did the first treatment. And then James and our original writer, David, finished it off. And all of our hearts are in it." I don't mean to...
I love the idea of James Wan like waiting for Momoa to come up with all the conceptual stuff, and then just like, I'll give this a once over. Let me just throw a polish on this.
Just
for you, Momoa. Let me James Wan. Let me just give this a quick once over. I'm sure you did all the heavy
I don't mean
lifting.
to single out Momoa. I just think actors in general tend to, let's say, embellish their involvement in the writing process for certain films.
The phrase "we dreamed up the second one" does not fill me with positivity.
Yeah. Look,
what scrapes should Aquaman get into now?
Yeah, look, I wasn't there, but if he had a writing partner who was doing the writing, and he was kind of wandering around the room and saying like, and then I could fight a shark, and he's like, yeah, good idea.
Writing partner. Sorry, Spencer, who shall remain unnamed.
Yeah. They had a few Zoom chats or whatever. They grabbed lunch a few times. I'm sure Momoa was very deeply involved.
No, actors are very deeply involved in these movies, especially when they're big stars, in the sense that they're like, I'm not going to say that, or I don't think my character would do this. And then the writers have to go off and figure out a solution where they're comfortable saying those words. And it is a collaboration in that way.
I mean, who's to say what about? I'm sure he had like some kind of input. I don't mean to completely dismiss it. It's the idea of like picturing Jason Momoa like with a mug of hot tea, putting on like little glasses, and getting behind the keyboard like I'm gonna bang out Act 2 of Aquaman today. Like that's what's funny to me.
We gotta punch up the Act 2 midpoint turn.
Yeah.
I think we're putting a hat on a hat here with this octopus double jump.
Yeah. Are the stakes here high enough?
Oh man. Look, acting's hard too. Don't get me wrong. It's just it's a particular set of skills.
I do want to see the version of this movie that like 80% of it is him, though. I do want to see what that looks like.
Did you guys have you watched Hacks? There's a great scene in Hacks where Gene Smart and a new writer are like knocking out a joke, like figuring out how this joke works the best. And I'm just imagining that scene, but Gene Smart is knocking it around with Jason Momoa.
I'm told I should watch Hacks. I think you're pushing me over the edge. I will.
It's really good. It's only 2 episodes so far, so you could knock it out in an hour.
Yeah. Great. Well, there you go. I'm psyched for Aquaman 2. And I do think that movie could benefit from just a stream of consciousness, Jason Momoa on the road type story.
To Jason Momoa's credit, he's not just an actor. He's like he's got a lot of interests. He's got many fingers and many pies. He's doing a lot of stuff. I don't mean to totally knock him because he just announced also he's got a Discovery reality show that he's making where he's going to ride across the US and meet like skilled craftsmen and tradespeople and learn about all of the stuff that they do, how they mastered their craft.
Well, that's great. Yes. Again, I'm only saying this seems to be just a thing of actors in general of claiming they wrote the movies or letting it be known how much they crafted the story.
This same franchise, didn't Ezra Miller also write his own draft of The Flash? Wasn't that a story?
Well,
it was.
Who knows what draft and writer and director they're
Oh, I don't think it's the one. It's not the one we're going to see, but he did submit his own, like, what about this take? And you're like, haha, okay.
Yeah.
Good publicity.
Totally. Yeah. So there you go. But there's other franchises that you didn't know were still running, but may be back. Attack the Block 2. Remember that one? That's where we all grew to know and love John Boyega. The kind of contained British block party version of an alien invasion movie. There is it's moving forward and Boyega's back. Is this like a step forward or back for him? Is this a back to basics? Or is this kind of a scared move, or are we excited to see him continue the Attack the Block franchise? Because this is kind of a small cult movie, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I did know when it came out. I had that feeling. I saw it when it was released, that it was a special film, and I love it. Loved it then. I love it now. I'm not sure I want to see John Boyega back in it necessarily, but of course that sells it. I was thinking what I'd like to see, because obviously that was all about a council estate and a gang. I'd like to see it set in the same time scale, the same invasion, but some posh boys in a boarding school tackle the invasion.
That's a fun take.
Slightly different cast.
I like that. Well, it is interesting. I don't necessarily think it's like step forward or back. Boyega's always been just like a fan of this movie. It's kind of the thing that made him, and he's talked for a while about wanting to come back. So I don't think it's like a desperation move in his career. He's just coming off small acts. He's got some other stuff going on. I think it's just a thing he's wanted to do. It is interesting, though, that he's coming back, but Jodie Whittaker, his co-star, who's now Doctor Who, apparently not coming back. I haven't heard anything about her. So that's an interesting. If you watched that movie originally and you were like, one of these two is going to come back for the sequel, I think I would have put my money on Jodie Whittaker, because John Boyega was just like the breakout, had this huge moment after that movie.
Right. And I don't really feel like it needs a sequel. In general,
where it's gonna go, isn't it?
Yeah, like,
and I guess they come back. There's a second invasion, and they're trying even harder now with their neon jaws.
Not this again.
They've got bigger neon jaws this time. I don't know. It's such a silly one-off thing. I feel like, you come up with a premise, they'll make it work.
Yeah, it's just like I didn't think that cult movies got sequels with the same cast returning. It's like, gosh, I can't think of I was thinking Starship Troopers, but I think Casper Van Dien did come back for the next Starship Trooper sequels. I don't know. It's just weird to me.
He came back for like a later one, right? Like they did a bunch without him, and then he came back.
You're right. He didn't. He skipped 2 and then came back for 3. I feel like Boyega should come back for Attack the Block 3. Just let the sequel come out and see how it does.
Well, I mean, Vin Diesel in Fast style. You know, you come back for like he comes back at the end of one of them just for like a cameo, and then yeah.
All right, well, we'll keep our eye on that. And then, last but not least, Amazon is in negotiations to buy MGM. Probably the biggest story last. For about $9 billion, they are going to own the studio with the rights to James Bond, Rocky, Bill and Ted, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
RoboCop,
yeah. So one of the last few standing independent, as in not part of a bigger conglomerate movie studios, will be gobbled up by Bezos, by the hungry beast of Bezos. What do you see the effect of this being, aside from just having fewer studios?
Well, the one thing to bear in mind is Bond has always been, it's a huge asset because who doesn't want to own James Bond, but it's also kind of a problem that because it's only half owned by MGM, the other half is owned by the Broccoli heirs and Eon Productions, their company. So like buying MGM is like you get the right to make James Bond movies, but you also have to deal with these people who have their own vision, and it's kind of not, it's not like selling somebody like Star Wars and it's like you own it, make whatever Star Wars thing you want now.
Yeah, it's a family business. It's like the Sony shared Spider-Man thing.
Exactly. It's like you're selling them this like, well, here's a new headache for you to deal with every 3 years when you want to make a new Bond film.
Yeah.
But I mean, having said that, the other thing to bear in mind is that I think Comcast recently thought about buying MGM and said they only thought it was worth $6 billion. So $9 billion, they may be aiming for the stars. They may not actually end up getting that.
But also the difference between 6 and 9 billion to Amazon is, a rounding error.
Oh yeah, no. Bezos has made that since we've been making this video. It's nothing.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Kim, on a new home for James Bond and another library of content for Amazon Prime?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as a movie fan, part of me is like, yes, I can get all these movies easily via my Amazon Prime subscription, but I very much do worry about monopolization. And Amazon's such a beast. I don't want them to own everything. There's a part of me that dies when I hear that one of these deals is going through.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the original movie studio. Like this is Louis B. Mayer. Go watch Mank, and it'll be all over that. And it's now a little cell on a spreadsheet of how many rolls of toilet paper they sold that month. It's just a little bit sad that like the movie business is completely subsumed under the tech business at this point. But
right, yeah, it's somehow we allowed it to be this thing where the places where you paid to like rent or buy or watch the movies, now they own and make all the movies, which is it hasn't really ever been that way before. Yeah. And like it really, really changes the contours of the business because now you're like so much of it is algorithmic now that's how, it used to be like in Mank, it was like 3 guys in suits smoking cigars being like a go picture. And like, that's how movies got made. And like, now it's just data, it's like, it's really not anybody's decision. It's just like, what is going to get clicks versus what? Because we allow the platforms to just make it would be like if Blockbuster was making the movies and they just watched you walk around the store and be like, he paused in front of Garbage Pail Kids, make 4 of those. And it's just like, all right, I mean that is a way to do it. But.
There is my only hope for the future is that these are these kind of Weyland-Yutani omnicorps that now own the movie business. There's got to be some kind of like benign neglect going on because they can't be involved in the minutia of filmmaking decisions because they have bigger concerns. So it's really just like they just like Netflix for better or worse, they hand a check to a creator and then they turn in X hours of content. So that is kind of like more creatively freeing than Sony giving you notes like, oh, Spider-Man needs to do dubstep in this movie because we really need this to be a success and I need my job. So hopefully it can just result in a lot more creative freedom for a lot more people, but a lot fewer options for us. We will watch our Amazon stuff, our Netflix stuff, or our Disney stuff, and or our AT&T, well, no longer AT&T, our Warner stuff, and that's
Discovery Plus stuff.
Yeah, It is shrinking every year. But you, the live chat, are growing. You are growing stronger with questions, and now we will answer them. Let's see. Matan Valensky asks, after it proved to be better for viewing figures and discourse by every other streaming service, why does Netflix still not do weekly releases? That's a good question. I mean, haven't they done that with a few shows? Just a few?
They definitely experiment. I mean, they just announced today they're experimenting with another thing. They made a trilogy of movies based on the R.L. Stine Fear Street books, and they're going to release one a week for 3 weeks. So like they're definitely, and like some of the reality shows they've started to like split up. So like you could start Too Hot to Handle, but you got to wait a month to finish it. So it'll end up being some kind of hybrid model. I think binging is just a brand thing for them now. Like that's how you watch Netflix shows, and they kind of defined it in everybody's mind. And that's what I don't think they're going to necessarily completely break from that because it's what they got us all used to.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think they'll experiment more with weekly releases, but exactly that, binging is their thing, and it's what tons of subscribers signed up for, right? The ability to binge.
Yeah, and I mean, when other services don't, like we saw what happened with season 2 of The Boys, when Amazon was like, no, actually, we want to make you wait, and people were infuriated. So I think you kind of like releasing it one way is making a deal with your audience that this is what you can expect, and you can't like kind of go back on that or people get upset.
Here's an interesting one from Ben10. Since Kim is here, could you talk about Ryan Reynolds buying a Welsh football club and making a documentary about it with this guy from Always Sunny? I didn't know any of this. Is this a story locally?
It is a story. I mean, it's a big, well, yeah, it is a big story. You know, Wrexham, which is the club that they've bought, is in the I dare to say lower divisions. Not one of the most successful teams, and the people of Wrexham hugely excited about it. It's great news. I don't know much about the documentary, but the closest we've got to this kind of thing before in football and Hollywood becoming enmeshed, I think was it Sylvester Stallone went to Everton once to watch a game. That kind of. Sometimes if they're over here filming, they might.
Why do they use their hands?
You might see a shot of them in the crowd with the owner, you know, but this is big news.
Worlds colliding.
I mean, the arrival of Ted Lasso, I'm assuming, was a national story, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah.
He's fictional. He's not real. He's not real. I did think there is a little trailer. Did you guys see? There's a trailer for this where it's them talking about it, and then they're having a Welsh translator translate everything they say into the native tongue of North Wales. So I saw that, but that's sort of all I've actually seen. I don't think there's like footage yet or anything.
Wrexham are actually in the English Football League, though. I'll just say that.
I mean, you can do that though in I thought in football, soccer, whatever, is that there's no like salary cap or whatever. So you can just, if you have enough money, you can just spend until your team is like the Yankees, until it's like the championship caliber, like if you're willing to.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Cool. Well, I hope they do that. That'd be really funny.
That would be fun.
All the Deadpool 3 money just goes right into Welsh soccer.
All right. Slavaton Rock asks, I'm watching Great British Bake Off lately and wanted to know which celebrities you'd like to see compete in a GBBO special. Preferably wholesome, but if you want to, go toxic.
Are we limiting this to UK celebrities, or is the whole world?
I think the whole world's. Let's
We've
each
all
nominate. we'll each nominate one
GBBO.
person to be in the Bake Off. Who would you like to see competing?
I'm sorry, my stock answer for this, because it seems like it would be very entertaining in many situations. Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Love that. Yes, he's gonna make something complicated, and he's gonna get like very deep into the process. I feel
he
like
will really. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine him coming away from that show not winning. You know, and he's been retired a while now. I just want to see his face again.
Oh, I feel like he and Christian Bale would arguably, like, those are the two potentially most intense GBBO competitors of all time.
Yeah.
I was thinking, you know how big it was when one of them was on Masked Singer earlier this year. I feel like the Muppets would be a great addition to an episode of GBBO. Like, let's, you know, they've got the Swedish Chef already, but let's get Fozzie, let's get Miss Piggy, Kermit in there. I'd like to see that.
That'd be really cute.
Then mix it up with Paul Hollywood, you know.
I'll go wholesome on the surface and then very toxic when something goes wrong. Ellen DeGeneres, I think, is my nominee. Who's like doing the persona and dancing and like trying to keep it together, but when like the souffle collapses or whatever, like the mask falls and she just absolutely cusses out the production staff and collapses the tent on everyone.
A smoothie is getting thrown at someone. At some point. It's definitely happening.
All right, final question from Jeffrey Yelverton. I just subscribed to Shudder, which is all horror, a very cool streaming service with some really cool originals, by the way. Is there a genre you would like to have its own streaming service? Anything you think is missing, or like they could really go deep and specialize in one genre that you love?
I mean, horror is my genre, so I'm happy, but you know, I maybe would like a bit more extreme horror than Shudder serves me, but that's because I am twisted.
So twisted.
Wow, that's pretty twisted. You know, I mean, one thing that's fun, and Criterion sort of does this, although they're spread around so much. There's so many great, just like 60s, 70s, 80s, just like kind of crime movies or thrillers or suspense movies, just like these kind of mid-level. You know, a great example is The Taking of Pelham 123 just popped up on HBO Max, and I've seen a lot of people like sharing it and liking it. There's hundreds of titles like that just sitting in all of these studio vaults, and it would be great to just get that. Like, I want like the 70s crime streaming service where it's just like Friends of Eddie Coyle and Straight Time and all those movies that you could find sometimes if you hunt and peck around. Like, Peacock will have one and Amazon will have a few, but they're never centralized. Like, I know they're going to be there.
That's cool. You know what I want that I don't know. I mean, in my dream, all the networks work together to make this happen, but I want a streaming service to recreate the experience of like either Saturday morning cartoons or like primetime, like on a Thursday night, where it's that programming block from, you know, the 80s and 90s with commercials of the era, and it's just like you can
like
flip
Must-See TV or TGIF or something.
Must-See TV, TGIF, and Saturday morning cartoons, where I can channel flip and it has commercials and it's all the same programming at the exact same time. Just frees me in a nostalgia cocoon.
Yeah, wow, you really want to just disappear into the year 1989.
But I think that's like half it just occurred to me when I was rewatching Beavis and Butthead and they didn't have any of the music videos, where it's like half the fun of watching these old things is the commercials, frankly, and the news of the news updates and stuff, like local news anchors teasing like what's coming up at 11. Like, that is what needs to really, really take me back to the retirement home. So I want something to recreate the channel flipping programming blocks of my youth. That would be mine, but that'll never happen. All right, this is fun. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Again, go buy Kim's book, like and subscribe, watch Lon do his thing on Twitter, and come right back here on Fandom Entertainment. Always more stuff coming. I don't know what, because it's not in the script, but I assume we'll have more videos either later this week.
We're gonna make more videos this week. I think that's the plan.
Yeah,
I think that is the plan.
Next week. Yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.